This is a top 20 countdown of Georgia football social media posts. Why make a video like this? Because it's engaging. Georgia football has one of the most followed social media accounts out there, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or even Twitter. What I want to focus on is mainly the photography, in-game photography, post-game photography, and some of these amazing social media graphics that they've gifted to us, for lack of a better term, throughout the season. So let's go ahead and get started. It all began back in September when Georgia played Oregon. And the thing that, this might, if I was ranking it 20 through 1, this might be my number one favorite, but I'm going to go in chronological order pretty much from the season. They released a Georgia football wallpaper, and in this you'll see it's Keely Ringo and he's pointing up, and they've superimposed the Mercedes-Benz Stadium with the roof open. You've got ducks flying, and it says "It starts now." And if you look at the "It starts now," that started a theme for this game, and really throughout the season, more of a retro theme. Think of a throwback to the early 90s, and you can see it in how that they've displayed the helmets in it. Those are the old school helmets that you would actually look at in a newspaper when that was a thing. I know when I was a kid, I used to circle the helmets in the newspaper and compete with my dad before we had websites and online stuff. But this is a great image. I had it on my phone's wallpaper for pretty much the first week. And the lighting's great. The way they mocked up the stadium with the roof open, ducks flying. It's a great announcement and a great graphic and even better wallpaper. Number 19, this is also for the Oregon game. Those of a certain age, Gen X like me, and perhaps some of you watching this, will remember Duck Hunt. That was kind of the quintessential Nintendo game back in, I don't know when it came out, probably maybe late 80s. But they did a great job on this because they showed the old Nintendo game. And if you zoom in, even the details of it, where they changed everything with the Oregon O pixelated on the duck. You've got the Georgia helmet and the Nike swoosh and the Chick-fil-A kickoff. 2022 season opener, and the Georgia replacing the Nintendo font and on the cartridge. Just very well done. Again, this is a theme throughout the whole 2022 season where you see the retro feel, and I think it really speaks to people in their 40s or even late 30s. And not to discount the millennials or the Gen Zers, they also appreciate vintage things, and this really is just an awesome graphic, one that would definitely make for a good poster in a Georgia Bulldog room. All right, now this is number 18 on the list. This is another wallpaper for announcing the Samford game. You'll see that they've got the helmets again. They've got this cool retro font on it. Everything's capitalized, so it really stands out. And you got Stetson pointing in front of the arches. And I really like what they did here was how, if you look at the jersey and everything, they kind of worked it a little bit and added some shadow and shading on it as he stands in front of the arches. And, they threw in the hedges there too. Just really love this wallpaper. And even look at the background of it. It's kind of a faded white, off-white with some texture and some aging to the photo. So it's really well done. Again, number 18 on my list of the top 20 Georgia football graphics of the 2022 season. Okay, now we've got our first game photos. This is really something that I hadn't seen until this year, and I'll admit Georgia football was the first creative account that I saw do this. They've got 3 photos, and what they did was they used the pen tool, I'm guessing, on Photoshop to cut out part of the images and then stacked them on top of each other, where the lower photo is superimposed onto the second photo and then onto the third photo. But you can see you got Robert Beal making a tackle. You've got Dylan Bell scoring his first touchdown. Interesting, on my actual phone wallpaper, I have Dylan Bell scoring that touchdown. I don't know if you can see it on my phone. I'll have to superimpose it on the screen. But I took this photo from section 118, and I just think it's cool how the Georgia football creatives selected that photo as well. But really well done. This was perfectly done for an Instagram post. As you can see, it's in 4x5 and just really stops the scroll. And that goes for any company or business or individual out there, all these millions and millions of content pieces are put on social media all the time, and you got to stop the scroll. This does it, and it's just as simple as using the pen tool on Photoshop and then superimposing it. You could probably also pull this off on Canva as well. Moving on to number 16, this is an actual game photo. This is the Georgia-South Carolina game where Georgia just basically made South Carolina quit. Now, South Carolina did everybody a solid by knocking off Tennessee and Clemson at the end of the season, but they weren't playing that well then. And this is Brock Bowers catching a touchdown pass. It looks like in the first quarter, because if it were in the second, third, or fourth quarter, all the South Carolina fans wouldn't be there because they left early and that place was empty by the end of the game. But this is a great action photo, probably shot at 1/1500 to freeze that action. I would guess maybe f4.5 if you're getting technical with the camera settings. But great positioning. I love how on the right side that you see the referee's arm in it. I'm assuming that's the referee, because one of the things that I love most about my own photography, or I'm not bragging on my photography, a technique, if you will, that I like to do is I like to put something in the foreground, blurred, and whether I'm zoomed in after that or even just shooting, at a wide angle, it just kind of adds some mystique to it, and that definitely happens in this photo here. Great touchdown catch by Bowers, towing in the end zone, and the Dogs dominated the Gamecocks that day. All right, moving on to number 15. This was the Kent State game. You can see Walker had just blocked the punt. The ball is just almost center framed in it. The punter ended up getting spun around. I actually have a sequence of photos I was taking from my section that I shot at rapid fire, and I've got the same thing where you can see in my photos the punt being blocked, and then he spun around. Georgia makes a lot of plays in this end zone, a lot of blocked punts and blocked kicks and sacks, which that's foreshadowing. You'll see a sack coming up later. But great job by the photographer on this, and just all in all, a great action shot on this. But just a cool contrast in colors in this photo. This is number 14. Again, superimposed on photo where you cut out the bottom, so you see the captains of the games of the game. It looks like it's who is it? Jackson. You got Bowers. You got Rosemary Jackson, who doesn't he look just like Pickens in that photo? And then you've got Kyrus Jackson as captains. And then what they did was, this is just great. It almost looks like it went together, where you've got the fireworks that Missouri shot off at the beginning of the game in the background. Just a great photo where you can see a lot going on. It catches your eye. Definitely stops the scroll. Great job on this. One of the great things about Sanford Stadium is that it isn't fully enclosed. Meaning, sure, you can seat 93,000 people, but the way the architecture was when they built Sanford in the early 1900s is it's set in the middle of campus, and you get to see the actual, I think that's the Zell Miller building in the distance, but you got Dijon Edwards celebrating a touchdown, and it's just juxtaposed against the buildings, the academic buildings in the back, and also that's late evening, so you got that great sunburst hitting the building. Just an excellent photo. All right, number 12, you see Kenny McIntosh running for a touchdown versus Vanderbilt. And the thing that stopped me when I was kind of picking out the photos that I wanted to highlight in this video is look at Stetson. He already knows he's going to score, and the fact that you see him in the background raising the fingers up like that he knows that McIntosh is gone in this photo just really makes it. You can tell they're heading towards the bridge because you've got the Bulldogs sideline on the south side of the stadium in the back. But it's a great photo, a lot going on. McIntosh's feet isn't even touching the grass. He's levitating, so to speak. But love this photo, and that's why it made the list. All right, now here we are at number 11. You got big Darnell Washington, again, levitating. This photo almost doesn't look real, but against Florida in the cocktail party, he's been a menace all season, menace in a good way for Georgia. He's such a key cog in the whole offense, whether he's catching the ball or destroying a potential tackler. But I love this photo because you've got the Gator player in pursuit, but obviously Darnell's already doing the damage, catching the pass and turning to look to go upfield. But love this photo, great action shot. All right, number 10, this is after the Florida game. You know, this is kind of a tradition that Georgia does down in Jacksonville when they do win, and which has been a lot lately. They go into the stands. You don't see this even at home games, really. This is kind of a tradition. Kirby Smart's so serious all the time, which I respect and I appreciate, but you love to see him just really enjoy the moment. And you got Smile Munden, Zion Logue, Trammell Walther, that's how you say it, that's kind of a mouthful. You've even got Jaheim Singletary in the background. And of course, if you look up in the upper middle, you see Darnell Washington. But, you know, just to get this photo, an action photo with the fans that have traveled down to Jacksonville, it's an excellent shot. And the smiles just put a smile on your face when you see it on social media. All right, number 9. This was the game. I actually made a video about it. I'll link it in the description. This is the Georgia-Tennessee game. I did kind of a little vlog of the game. I actually got a video of this play happening. This is when Hendon Hooker was backed up in the end zone and Tennessee was trying to get out of it. And of course, the wrecking ball himself, Jalen Carter, comes in and knocks the ball out. It was a fumble. A lot of people claim it was a safety. I was in the stands. I thought it was a safety, but nonetheless, they scored on the first play after Tennessee punted on this. Just a great photo. I love the contrasting of colors in it, and just the fact that whoever got the photo from Georgia football was able to freeze frame this action, and this is definitely one that will stop the scroll. Okay, number 8 on the list is a graphic, and how could you not appreciate the veterans that do the flyovers for Georgia football games and the veterans in general. My dad was an Air Force lieutenant colonel, so I grew up around that kind of lifestyle and still appreciate it so much this day. So salute to all veterans. This is a great graphic. It says, "Thank you, veterans," honoring military veterans who served in the United States Armed Forces. I think this is a really good idea for any business to do, or any creative endeavor, is to superimpose some text onto your photos. You know, you get a good photo, but you can make it more, which is what UGA did here. I love how the Georgia football is kind of spray painted on there. Just a great photo because you see that people are honoring it. Somebody was able to catch someone with a Georgia baseball hat holding it up. It's just a great photo with the flag waving in the background. So yeah, thank you, veterans, and thank you, Georgia football, for capturing this photo. All right. We're getting into the top 7 here. This one is awesome. Mississippi State game. Darnell Washington on the phone. You've got a lot of negative space with the night sky. It was cold that day in Starkville, and you can see the steam rising up from his head. And that's one of the cool things about sports photography, really football photography. They get so hot running around with the helmets on. Whenever you see them on the sideline and it happens to be cold, immediately when they take their helmet off, you see the steam rolling up. So the photographer did a great job of shooting up. The natural instinct for a photographer might be just to shoot straight on in this photo, but I love how they're shooting up. And you see him talking on the phone. I love how it's a corded phone. He's talking to one of his position coaches, surely. But I mean, think about it. Look at it. I mean, it's not just a regular phone. Georgia thinks about everything. It's a red and black phone. The red cord, the black phone. If I were Darnell, I'd have this printed and framed somewhere in my house. All right, number 6, this is Stetson doing the dog walk. This is, I think, the Georgia Tech game. He's got a nice blazer on, looks confident and comfortable, like he plays really confident and comfortable. It's got, the interesting thing on this is you got the play sheet. I mean, if it weren't out of focus, you could probably zoom in and figure out what plays they had written down. But it's great. It's a great shot because, you know, there's a lot of depth in it. You see, if you start at the back of the photo, you see the changing of the colors of the trees, the leaves in the photo, and then you see the trombones coming out, which is great. And he's giving high fives to fans. Just an awesome photo here. Everybody remembers Kendall Milton breaking one loose against Georgia Tech towards the end of the game. This is not easy. You gotta have your camera on servo, which means being able to shoot objects coming towards you so you don't lose focus. Because if you're shooting single shot in this, after he crosses about a yard or two, you're probably gonna be out of focus. But if you zoom into the photo, you can see that they nailed focus on this. You can see the mouthpiece and the detail of his tattoos. And then you see the Georgia Tech players kind of giving up But a great shot of Milton scoring a touchdown versus the Jackets. This was posted last week during the SEC Championship game practice. This is Robert Beal with one of his position coaches, and they are in the indoor facility, obviously. But I just love how, think about it. Everything we've talked about, we've seen shots that have a lot of depth of field. We just saw that shot of Darnell where they're shooting up. And I just love the thought of the photographer here thinking, I'm going to shoot down on this and get an action shot. Great framing, and love the colors of the edit on this photo. Okay, moving on to number 3. This is another graphic, and this is something that was introduced just during the SEC Championship game. You still see the retro helmets. The thing I love about this graphic is if you zoom in, it has the details of location, time, kickoff, date, and LSU Tigers, Georgia Bulldogs, and then it talks about the SEC Championship game. On Stetson's left shoulder, you've got that old Georgia Bulldog logo. That is an old one. That's probably like from the 50s, but I love how Georgia has been embracing the history, and maybe that was their intention during those meetings for the creative team at the beginning of the season. But great job of carrying the theme from the Oregon game when it was introduced all the way through the SEC Championship game. But love the contrast of this photo as well. All right, number 2. Now, if we were ranking the best, this would definitely be number 1. But this picture of Jalen Carter holding up the LSU quarterback in the SEC Championship game, this is one of those moments and one of those photographs that will go down in Georgia history. It's almost, I would say it's probably going to be the new Uga biting the Auburn player, as you can see here. I got this as a Christmas gift in 1997, and I still have it hanging in my office now. But I want to give credit to the photographer. I think I saw on Twitter that Tony Walsh took this photo, and I've met Tony on a couple occasions, and he's a fantastic young photographer. So if you're watching this, and if Tony, you did take this photo, man, right place, right time, and way to be there with the focus and the composition of it. This is an iconic Georgia football photo. Yeah, I love this photo. This is so good. And then number 1, this is the last photo that I picked out from the game. You see Chaz Chambliss, really a player that had to step up this season with the absence of Nolan Smith at linebacker, but you see him just taking it all in. I just love how you got the confetti raining down. You've got some blurred out in front. You've got him in tack sharp focus. You can just read a lot into this photo, but it's a good one. I really like it. And then finally, this is a bonus. This is looking forward. Another great graphic by the creative department. They're already showing that the next game is the Peach Bowl in college football playoff. Georgia's playing Ohio State. It'll almost be 30 years to the day from the last time they played Ohio State. It was January 1st, 1993, Georgia versus Ohio State in the Citrus Bowl. And interesting fact, Kirk Herbstreit was the Ohio State quarterback, and Kirk Herbstreit's last ever pass as a Buckeye was an interception made by Mike Jones of Georgia in the end zone to seal the win, where Georgia won 21-14. Maybe that would be a prediction for the game. But I won't go there yet. But another great graphic. I love how the N has the number 1 silhouetted in it. It says we're in. But again, great job by the graphics department that do it. Tony Walsh is a photographer. Alex Caputo, I've followed him for a while. Shout out to Pete Gottschalk, who used to head up some of the photography and videography they've done over there at Georgia football. He's now moved on to MLB. He has a great YouTube channel and talks about what he does as an MLB creative. But thanks for watching. I know this is a little bit different than the videos I usually make on this channel, but you can find me on my website, jawavifilms.com. I have some prints that you can buy that I've taken there. I even have some digital downloads where I'm trying something new, where people can just pay a very small fee and then download the photos and then print them out themselves. So we'll see if that's a thing going forward. But yeah, go Dogs. Good luck as we all get ready for the Chick-fil-A Bowl, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and the college football playoff. I'm feeling really good about moving on to the national championship game. But yeah, I'll see you next time. Let me know if you like this, and feel free to subscribe to my channel. And as always, go Dogs.